The last words spoken by criminals before execution remain as the final remarks from these condemned felons, having been uttered seconds before their deaths. These are the renowned last words before execution that others will remember for a lifetime, much as the opinions expressed by notable persons in their suicide notes. Death row convicts' final remarks are amusing, bizarre, and of course, tragic. Today, we show you the list of top 10 shocking last words from prison inmates. Make sure to watch till the end of this video, as this video may give you facts and chills when thinking about death. Number 10. Robert Towery. Towery and Randy Barker went to Mark Jones's house on September 4th, 1991 to rob him. Jones was acquainted with Towery and welcomed him and Barker into his house. Jones was handcuffed after Towery drew a gun on him. Towery emptied the home of valuables and placed them into Jones's car. Jones was escorted to his room by Barker. Towery informed Jones that he was going to inject him with a sleep-inducing substance. Jones was then injected with battery acid by Towery. Jones wasn't having a hard time since he trusted Towery. After that, Towery attempted to choke Jones to death. He tried again after the first attempt failed, and this time he was successful. After that, Towery and Barker left in Jones's car and unloaded Jones's belongings at their home. His last words were, "I love my family, potato, potato, potato." Number 9. Tory Twain McNabb. Lethal injection execution for the 1997 shooting death of a Montgomery police officer, the prosecution of McNabb's attorneys had tried to stay for the sake of the cruel and unusual lethal injection. Tory Twain McNabb fatally shot a police officer who was seated in his patrol car. Montgomery police officer Anderson Gordon was discovered dead on September 24, 1997, slumped over the steering wheel of his patrol car at the intersection of Rosa Parks and National Avenue in Montgomery. Officer Gordon had been shot a total of 5 times. McNabb was found guilty of 2 counts of capital murder at trial for the death of Officer Gordon, who was responding to the site of an accident McNabb caused while escaping his bail bondsman. The jury recommended that McNabb be sentenced to death by a vote of 10-2, and the trial judge approved the jury's recommendation. His last words were, "Mom, sis, look at my eyes. I got no tears, I am unafraid. To the state of Alabama, I hate you. I hate you, I hate you." Number 8. Barbara Graham. Graham became the 3rd woman to be killed by the state of California on June 3, 1955. After being charged with the murder of an old widow during a failed robbery attempt with 2 male associates. Years later, her story, which was the subject of a successful Hollywood film, became a rallying cry for anti-death penalty campaigners. Executed by gas chamber after she was found guilty of murdering an elderly woman in a botched robbery, her last words were, "Good people are always so sure they're right." Number 7. Thomas J. Grosso. On December 24th of the year 1990, he strangled Hilda Johnson, an 87-year-old lady, with her Christmas tree lights at her Tulsa home. He grabbed $8 from her handbag, $4 in spare change, and her TV, which he sold for $125. On July 4th, 1991, 6 months after relocating to New York with his wife, Lana, he murdered Leslie Holtz, an 81-year-old man from Staten Island, and stole his Social Security payment. Thomas J. Grosso, 32, was a male double killer, executed by injection after being found guilty of multiple murders. His last words were, "I did not get my SpaghettiOs. I got spaghetti. I want the press to know this." Number 6. Carla Faye Tucker. A lady from the United States condemned to death for murdering 2 persons with a pickaxe during a burglary. She was the first woman to be hanged in the United States since North Carolina's Velma Bartfield in 1984. And the first in Texas since Chipita Rodriguez in 1863. After 14 years on death row, she was convicted of murder in Texas in 1984 and killed by an injection. Because of her gender and highly known conversion to Christianity, she sparked an exceptionally large national and worldwide campaign calling for her sentence to be commuted to life in prison without the possibility of release, a movement that included a few foreign government leaders. Executed by injection in 1983, her last words were, "I'm going to be face to face with Jesus now. I love you all very much. I will see you all when you get there. I will wait for you." Number 5. Aileen Wuornos. She was a serial murderer and sex worker from the United States who murdered 7 men in Florida in 1989 and 1990 by shooting them at point-blank range. Wuornos stated that her victims raped or attempted to rape her while seeking sex from her. and all of the murders were done in self-defense. She was condemned to death for 6 of the murders and was killed on October 9, 2002 by lethal injection. Monster, a 2003 film, tells Wuornos' tale from childhood until her first murder conviction. It stars Charlize Theron as Wuornos, for which she won an Academy Award for Best Actress. Her last words were, "I'd just like to say I'm sailing with the Rock and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus, June 6 like the movie. Big mothership and all, I'll be back." Number 4. Robert Erskine Childers. Childers was a British intelligence and aerial recognition officer in World War I, despite his position in UK governance in Ireland. By the end of the war, however, he was in favor of a fully independent Irish Republic. He was selected as a Sinn Féin deputy from County Wicklow to Dáil Éireann, or Irish Assembly, in 1921 and became the Dáil's Minister of Propaganda. He later served as secretary to the Irish delegation at the Anglo-Irish Treaty Conference later that year. Childers used his propaganda and publicity skills to support the Irish Republican Army. Childers utilized his propaganda and advertising skills during the following Civil War. After the capture by the forces of the Free State, Childers was arrested by a court-martialed officer in Dublin for unauthorized possession of a revolver. His last words were, "Take a step forward, lads. It will be easier that way." Number 3. Johnny Frank Garrett. Garrett was accused of the killing, at 17 years of age, of a Catholic nun on 31st October 1981. Garrett raped, strangled, and killed Sister Tadea Benz of 76 years of age in the St. Francis Convent that morning, according to the prosecution. Garrett, who lived in front of the convent on the street, was arrested on the 9th of November 1981. Executed by injection after being found guilty of raping and murdering a 76-year-old nun in 1981. His last words were, "I'd like to thank my family for loving me and taking care of me, and the rest of the world can kiss my ass." Number 2. Sarah Good. Good's status as a disreputable and marginalized member of society made her an ideal candidate for accusations of witchcraft. On the 29th of February 1692, Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and Tituba were issued the first arrest warrant. The three were initially charged with hurting Betty Paris and Abigail Williams. And then many other accusers came to testify against Good for wrongful acts and spectral evidence. Good testified for the first time in the Salem witchcraft trials, and in Salem story Bernard Rosenthal says Good was chosen for the trial. Since the majority support the rubbing of the Salem village, one of the most famous women executed for witchcraft in Salem, Massachusetts, her last words were, "I am no more a witch than you are a wizard, and if you take away my life, God will give you blood to drink." Number 1. James French. During French's time on death row, third parties attempted to save his life. He won 3 trials in total, despite the efforts of attorneys who were working against his wishes. Following the first trial, those attorneys won a new trial for French based on jury members seeing French in shackles while he was in court, which skewed their perception of him during the trial. Attorneys argued after the second trial that the judge who presided over the trial gave an improper response to a jury question about what life imprisonment meant. In 1965, French faced his third trial. In all 3 trials, French made a full, voluntary, and eager confession to Shelton's murder and gave the same reassuring testimony. He was the last person executed under Oklahoma's death penalty laws prior to Furman versus Georgia, which suspended capital punishment in America from 1972 until 1976. His last words were, "How about this for a headline for tomorrow's paper? French fries." Last words are the only thing that man will remember when you die. So if one day you die and you got the chance to utter your last words, what would it be? What do you think about this video? Do you have some place in mind that should be in this video? Let us know in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe for more amazing videos.